Everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Grit Daily Startup Show. You have your host, Leonard Kim, and today we have two very special guests. We have Carlos Cameo and Inigo Cavestany of Second World Games. Before we get started and get into anything, so Carlos, you founded a game development company at 14 that ended up becoming another thing at 18 where you founded a multi-million-dollar company. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and how you and Inigo met?
Sure. First of all, nice to meet you, Leonard. Nice to be here. It's a pleasure. Okay, actually, thinking about what happened, or I was thinking at that time when I was 14. Actually, I was just a little boy. I loved playing games. It was the time when the App Store started with so many apps out there. My parents bought me an iPod, and I just started playing some games on the App Store. It was the time when I think that Flappy Bird was released, which was like a huge success, and I just wanted to create something similar. I mean, I have like the intention of creating something similar that people could enjoy and that myself could enjoy. I just wanted to improve that game, so I started learning programming, everything from scratch. I didn't went to any school of programming school or anything. I just started learning by watching YouTube videos, which is like many of the developers out there do. Yeah, I created the first game, which I mean, it was not a great game. Definitely, it had nothing to do with Second World Games, which is the gaming studio that we have now. But it was great. I mean, people love it, and I started my journey. And then I just get involved into this entrepreneurship world with I just got engaged with creating disruptive products, applications, etc. So I founded with actually that was when I met Inigo. We founded a company, our first startup actually, which was something related to Wi-Fi connection, etc. And it was great. I mean, we gathered thousands of users from in the first week. It was like a huge success here in Spain. And it was there when we met. Actually, Inigo started joining us as the first investor. So because Inigo was actually he was the teacher of my other partner. And he joined us as investor, but later on, years later, actually 2 years ago, we decided to start Second World Games, and we joined us as partners and co-workers actually. So, but definitely this is another story.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You don't really find too many instances where an investor ends up becoming a business partner in a future venture. So that's pretty rare in itself. The cool thing is you were able to get your start back in the Angry Birds days. And back then, people would kind of play any game, but it kind of got your feet wet, especially for your movement into Second World Games. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about what Second World Games is, what kind of games it has, what you're focusing on, and what you're kind of doing with that company right now?
Okay, so actually right now we started this company, Second World Games, 2 years ago with a clear vision in mind. I mean, we were in the crypto industry. Then it was like if you remember, the last bull market was getting to an end, and it was like the GameFi, the first GameFi wave. So we were Web3 players. Actually, I am an Axie Infinity players, a 10-year Axie Infinity player. So I loved Web3 gaming, but we saw like a common denominator in almost every game or every gaming studio that was launching at that time. And this denominator was, they were not, most of them, not all of them definitely, they were not focused on gameplay, on creating great games or having great products, but on speculation. They were focusing on speculation, on just the money part, the money side of the things. And we as gamers and also as entrepreneurs, we really thought that in order to succeed in this industry, we really need to create first a great game, having a great gameplay, something that players enjoy, and then focus definitely on the implementing blockchain technology and the Web3 stack on them, because we really believe that blockchain gaming improves in a lot extent the gaming industry as a whole. So we decided to start. We gather a team, not only Inigo and myself, but also we have two other co-founders and a 15 people in-house team of people coming from top companies like IBM,
Oh
Meta,
wow.
Pokemon Company, Secret Six. So we have like a team of masters in every branch of the company. And 2 years later, we have two games out there. We are focused on mobile gaming because we really want to target like the broadest audience possible. And in the mobile industry is the one that is growing faster. So we have two games out there. The first one is Ball Guys Fury Road, which is like a hyper casual racing game, and the other
Oh
one
wow.
is Second World New Era, which is like a city building and competitive game inspired in titles like Clash of Clans and Clash Royale, but mixing them and improving them by implementing like different functionalities. Like, for example, the game is based on the real world. You need to go from one historical era to another. You just need to make the transition from a Stone Age to the modern age. And yeah, that's it. And right now we have like more than 50K users, both from Web2 and Web3 world. We
Well, that's
released
pretty good.
our token yesterday, actually. It was
Oh wow.
the TGE event. And now we are thinking, not only thinking, but also we are working on integrating blockchain in these games so that improving them, so in order to improve them. So that's the stage we are at right now.
So I think I remember back about 2021, 2022, that was around the time when a lot of companies were hopping into this game trend. And I remember looking at some of the games and I'm like, oh, these people are just getting people to use it just to make money. But these games aren't actually fun. It seems like you have built a game that people are actually enjoying by building up a user base of about 50,000 customers. What do you think are the distinguishers that make your game, your two games unique compared to the other ones out there in the market?
Well, I would say that there are many ways to differentiate ourselves in the space we are building on. But taking into account, for example, Second World New Era, that is our most ambitious project up to date, I would say that just like Carlos was mentioning earlier, we are mixing two dynamics, two genres that have been extremely popular in the mobile space, both with Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. And we are bringing different innovations to it that make it even better with that hybrid vision. Apart from that, we are putting players in the center, and that's why we are really hyped with what Web3 can enable. It's true that we haven't seen a super use case that brings the masses and really becomes a standard for the industry, but we are really sure that this is about to happen anytime soon. The quality of the games that we are seeing being built in Web3 is growing rapidly, and also the narratives and the way to engage and communicate value propositions to the end users, in this case, players. So with that in mind, we feel that we are a competitive enough game experience wise against our Web2 competitors like Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. Plus, we are integrating all the Web3 stack to put players in the center and really be able to provide them with more than having fun in our games, but really turn them into owners and decision makers of our world.
Yeah, I think that's kind of awesome. One of the things that Carlos mentioned is that in the game you could kind of go out there and time travel. I know from like a design perspective to go out there and create different landscapes that takes a lot of time. And from playing mobile games myself, you don't really see someone who's able to go out there and travel. So I think that's one of the key things that's really helping your game kind of drive more users. And when you kind of tie that into the Web3 growth, Ethereum, I think you guys recently had an approval on gaming tokens in regards to that. Do you want to mention more about that and how the regular user could go out there and take ownership of a game where they could kind of travel through time?
Yeah, okay. Actually, the end user of our games, I mean, we have like two audiences, and we really need to differentiate really good between both of them. The first audience is like the Web3 investor. I mean, Web3
Mm-hmm.
investors are always there, and we really need them in order to grow as a company, and in
Yeah,
order for them to obtain like a ROI. But Web3 investors want a return on investment.
of
That's it.
course.
And the other audience is Web2 people or gamers, actually gamers. They don't want a return on investment. They want just to have fun. So you need to create a game and a space where both audiences can like be together in while obtaining what they want. investors money, the other ones what to players enjoyment. So in order to accomplish that, we created recently, we're working on it, but we are just launching a pilot of some mode that we are calling fantasy troop. Fantasy troop, to be completely clear about it, is just a game mode implemented in Second World New Era, where both collectives can use the game to obtain what they want. For example, imagine you are a Web3 investor and you don't want to play a game. The only thing that you're going to need to do is just to connect to a website. You're going to be able to see every gamer that we have inside the games. Every gamer, you are going to be able to see their stats. You're going to be able to see the amount of matches that they have won, etc. And then you are going to be able to hire them, like sponsor them, give them Suayo, which is our token, give them our token, so that they use those tokens to compete against other players. So now imagine that Inigo is a player, I'm an investor, I give him my Suayo, my token, and he starts playing the game because he's a gamer, he wants to play games. So he starts playing Second World New Era, and in the Second World New Era has like, in this fantasy mode, the main goal is just to battle against other players in PvP battles. So in these PvP battles, there is the opportunity or the option of betting. You can bet your own token against other players. And the winner, if this betting generates a bounty, and the winner take it all. So if your gamers, if the gamers that I have hired or signed up with as an investor win battles, they are going to be generating passive income for me, which is what I want as an investor. While they have fun, compete, do what they want to do, I am generating passive income based on their skill. And this is very important because Web3 gaming is, the play to earn model, it's a model that has failed in a lot of ways. So this is not a play to earn model. This is a model where users or investors can earn money without extracting value from the game. In this betting system, the money is not generated from the air. The money comes from other player that has lost a battle against you. So this is Fantasy Troop, and this is a model that, we really believe that could have like a space in the Web3 industry, and we are just implementing it right now.
That's pretty awesome. If you think about the typical game, to go out there and figure out who the top players are, you might have a leaderboard, but if you're looking for an up-and-coming player, it's going to be extremely difficult to go and identify exactly who they are. Plus, if you want to go out there and watch streams of games like this, you usually have to go onto a site like Twitch and watch someone who's going out there and streaming. But by opening up this access where someone could go in and kind of look at the entire landscape of everyone who's playing from a bird's eye view, I think that would open up a lot of opportunities for investors to go out there and see who's going out there and playing. Also, another thing is, if you think about like web gaming in general, some people do end up going out there and getting sponsorships, going and playing into the big leagues and so forth. By having this technology, those people and those roles could have a lot easier time going out there and figuring out what people to message who are up and coming, instead of just going for the top leaders who are already out there.
That's it. It's like we like to think about it like democratizing esports. Right now, if you want to compete in an esport team, you need to be like the best. We don't want it. We want every investor to be able to just create their own teams, and every gamer, it doesn't matter if they are top 10 of the world or they are like average players, can compete with participating in these teams. That's the main goal.
Another thing you mentioned is the gambling. I've seen Twitch streamers go out there and they'll stream for like maybe 3 hours, 8 hours, whatever it may be, and they have an engaged audience who are just going out there and watching them game. But then if you kind of look at the sports betting industry, people will go and put a lot of money into the bets that they're making on sports. And if you're able to kind of combine those two together, you have the attention and you have the people going out there and spending money. This could be potentially a unique piece of technology that you have really out there that could work with not just your brand, but other games as well. Have you guys thought about potentially expanding that side of the technology to other types of companies?
In the end, it's something that we want to enable in our ecosystem first. But definitely, we are working to contribute to the gaming space. And if this new model we are creating actually allows the industry to evolve and grow, I mean, we are definitely interested in contributing to that. So it's true we have a big background both in product development and service providing. So we are comfortable in both lines, but it's true that our main focus at the moment is in our own gaming ecosystem.
Awesome. So earlier you guys mentioned that, and you're usually doing P2P battles, and then the loser of the battle would cause payment to a payment of some sort to go and end up with the winner of the battle. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about like how this works? To me, I'm thinking about like maybe like boxing, kickboxing, something like that, where there's a stake on the line and there's a reward at the end. Are you kind of emulating that kind of environment, or what kind of how does this kind of work?
Actually, it's like PvP battles where every player can bet like an amount of Suayo, the same amount of Suayo each player. I mean, imagine you battling against me. I bet like 10 Suayo, you bet 10 Suayo, then we match. In the match, we battle. If I win, I take 10 Suayos and you take nothing. That's it. It's like definitely the simplest way that we find out in order for everyone to accept it, because there is another important topic here. And Web2 players don't used to like betting systems because they just want to play for fun. And if they
Yeah.
see it happens, it happens exactly the opposite that happens with investors, with Web3 investors. Web3 investors doesn't want to play, and when they find out like a difficult game, they just leave it because it's not easy to make money. With Web2 players, it happens the opposite. They want to play, to enjoy, and if they see money, they are scared away. So we really need to make it in the smoothest way possible by not making them put any money. It's the investor that just sponsor them, so they don't feel this currency or this gem, because it's a gem inside the game, as money. They don't even need to know that it's a token. They just have this currency, and this is the premium currency that can be used to participate in this kind of battles. So this is the simplest model, so that no Web2 gamer can believe that this is like has something to do with betting or gambling, because that's not what we want. We want people to just play based on their skills, and if they are good enough, just benefit other people that are sponsoring them.
And
That's
that
it.
makes a lot of sense. Like if you think about a lot of games, what you do is you go out there, you win tokens, you go and purchase gear, you try to get the best gear possible. And most people do that because of the enjoyment kind of behind that process. Now, you have some outliers who are going to go out there and try to sell their gear, sell their account, and so forth. But for the most part, the majority of the people who are kind of doing that are just doing it for fun. And I do understand that if you kind of put that monetization factor into there, they're like, well, this isn't a game anymore. This is work. So it's kind of unique what you're doing to distinguish both sides of this equation, where the investors on one side and they see one completely one complete world, and then the players on the other side, they're seeing a completely different world. I guess that really kind of helps define the name Second World Games, where there's two completely different worlds where there's one ecosystem that they're kind of working together.
Well, love the take, Leonard. Is exactly what we are trying to build. In the end, I think the gaming industry really leveled up when it started thinking not only about players but on all the different stakeholders that surround them. But it's true that in a way, investment was always coming from more like Web2 models where brands sponsor, for instance, games, or game studios monetize the data that you are actually generating in each game. We are trying to move away from that, eliminate intermediaries, barriers, and in a more decentralized and transparent environment, allow all these stakeholders to engage with one another. And we are starting with players and investors, but it's likely that soon enough we could onboard other type of profiles, other type of users. Like it could be content creators, it could be, all sort of profiles that can contribute to these mechanisms, to this engagement, and get rewards on exchange. These rewards don't need to be necessarily financial rewards. Actually, when players are being sponsored and playing with one another, we will enable different storylines and ways to engage players that go beyond the financial incentive. This could be earning a game asset, this could be being on the top of the leaderboards, receiving some prize in game for being the best of the month. These kind of things many times, or even voting about things that matter to them. These kind of things many times are, or always actually, are more relevant to players than the financial gain, obviously. So since there's people looking for that financial gain, let's put them all together and give each of them what they are looking for.
It's kind of crazy when you think about leaderboards. For a game, people do want to be in that leaderboard. They do want to be at the top. And then even if you like watch people who are watching people play games like on Twitch, like the top person who's going out there and donating, they want to be at the leaderboard too, and they want to be in those top three positions. So there is a lot of incentive behind wanting to be in this top list, and I could see how that could drive a lot of different unique perspectives, maybe content creators and other types of positions to want to eventually get involved. What do you guys have set right now for your growth tactics to kind of grow that user base of 50,000 customers or players into more?
Well, in that sense, we are working on different channels. I mean, we definitely have this Web3 vision of really providing players with more power that they have been granted up until now. But of course, we need to be very smart in the way we communicate and onboard real players. And if we talk about real players, the Web3 vision is probably not gonna make them fall in love, at least at first. So the way we have been working up on this is that related to players, we are really not communicating any Web3 element when we build campaigns targeting them in the typical social networks that they are on, obviously YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. But when talking about Web3 users, what we are really trying is to give them a voice early on, to involve them and make them part of our community-centric approach. And this is for development, but also for many other campaigns that we have been definitely working on. So it's true that we have made certain activations as well in both worlds, and we are very lean in the way we measure how campaigns work, and then we adapt to what data is telling us. But definitely with Fantasy Troop, we are going to start activating new forms of engagement and growth. And now that we have our token live, Swio, we can start implementing it into the ecosystem and onboard many Web3 users as well that up until now have been looking forward for this moment.
I think a good thing that you guys could do is you could separate the fantasy troop into its own entity and go and focus strictly on the gameplay. And then with Second World, you could kind of go and gear more towards the investor type group. Earlier, you guys mentioned that you have a coin out there called Swio, SWIO. Can you talk more about a lot of investors might think, oh, it's risky to invest into something brand new. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about if you've raised any money before, what kind of processes are kind of built into that, kind of to build some security with any investor who might be listening to this to make sure that they're like, oh, okay, this is something legitimate and this is something I could potentially work with?
Sure. Actually, when we started our journey 2 years ago, we, as a startup and as a gaming company who aims to build like 2 games in the Web3 gaming industry, we needed funding. So we did like a pre-sale mix with in the crypto space. Pre-sales are very common. So we make like a pre-sale mixed between equity of the company plus token of almost around $3 million. So with that funding, yeah. It was great because I mean, you know, the crypto industry, it's like works like waves. So when there is a bull market, people just start going crazy with projects and money starts flowing, and then you are in a bear market and it happens the opposite. So we have the lucky or not so sure if it was luck or what it was, but of starting the company at the end of the last bull market. So we had enough funding to go through the bear market in the last 2 years and focus on building, not only building these 2 games, but also building a great team I mean, as I mentioned, we have like 15 people in-house team, and also building great relationships with partners and collaborators. So right now we are working closely with collaborators that are huge in this industry, like Immutable X or Polygon. Also, we recently are participating in the ELICA AI Accelerating Program, which is like a program focused on implementation of AI inside the games, because we really believe this will be the future of not only blockchain gaming, but also blockchain gaming plus AI. I mean, that's the present actually. And we have built like a huge network of collaborators which are really helping us grow, and they have helped us be where we are right now. And yesterday it was like the what I used to think it was gonna be the end of the journey, which was the TG, the token generation event, the launch of the token in the exchanges. But right now, today, actually a couple of months ago, I feel it like the beginning of the process, because right now we are live, we have a token in the market, and now each action that we are performing publicly on the social media, on the games, its update, its new feature, its incorporation to the team, its new partnership affects impact on the price of the token. So we really feel it like a very, reliable indicator of if we are doing things great or not. But besides that, I mean, right now we are in a good moment for crypto. In my opinion, we are very near to the next bull cycle or leg up. Bitcoin, Ethereum with the ETF approvals are almost at all-time highs. It happens the same, or it will happen the same with Solana and the biggest altcoins. But when we think about gaming coins or altcoins, specifically GameFi tokens, they are not at the best moment that they could be. But it happens always the same. We know it, and we knew it when we decided to launch. And actually, the launch was really great, in our opinion, considering the market conditions. So we are really happy for that, but we keep working. But we really wanted to be out there in the market with our products, with our gamers, with our team, with our partners, collaborators, in order to be here when the next leg up starts. Because when money, when Bitcoin and Ethereum reaches at all-time highs, then the money starts flowing into altcoins, and then the money starts flowing into gaming tokens. So if we are here when this happens, and it will happen soon, I don't know if it will be a matter of months or what, but soon, we can say, we want to be there to benefit from it and to just reflect the work and the value of the company that we are having right now in the charts. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that that Bitcoin ETF approval was crazy, because if you think about an ETF, you think like the S&P 500, you think US oil, you think treasury bonds, you think gold, and a lot of these are commodities. So what that ETF did is kind of legitimize Bitcoin to the general public. Also, it gives traditional investors who work at these large hedge funds, venture, and other firms the ability to go into investing into these and putting these things into people's 401ks and other investment instruments. So, and people with singular brokerage accounts as well. So it kind of opens up the door where more things could potentially happen. We could see this move into altcoins. We could see this move into gaming, but just that movement alone kind of moves things into the right direction for these other things to potentially happen. When you think about the broader implications, are there things that could potentially happen on like regulatory departments on the gaming industry because of this integration with blockchain technology?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, the challenge always is that, and especially in this so-called exponential era, innovation is always moving forward faster than human understanding, and even, of course, the regulation that comes with it. So obviously, we know that we are early innovators in a new industry that is being created. And as such, a lot of things are unclear and uncertain, especially in some markets in the world that matter a lot to the space. So in this sense, obviously, we abide to the regulations that we have to as we move on as a project. But definitely we are taking a close look to what it seems like may be coming in the future months to be able to adapt before it's too late. So it seems like in Europe and other areas in the world, like Middle East, etc., there's some frameworks and certainty coming in. We can then debate if we like the direction that we are taking, but at least it seems like we are starting to build up a common framework for all to work to play with. But there's definitely other markets that are still not very clear into their objectives. But having said that, the ETFs, as you mentioned, are huge for our industry, and we have to be all of us proud of this accomplishment, because for many years we have been in that tension that all of us were illegal, right? And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, as you mentioned, Leonard, they are legitimized, and a lot of trust comes with it, and therefore investment and more importantly, utilization of the technology.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things is if you look at the technology in general over in like the sports betting area to do online sports betting, you can't do it in California, but you can do it in Nevada. So there are a lot of different complications that come with that. And especially with being in the cutting edge area of building out a game company in a space that hasn't really been defined, like new rules could come out of nowhere, and to kind of navigate around those could definitely be a challenge. But it seems like with your partnerships with like Polygon and all these other companies, everyone's kind of focused on helping you guys get to the next stage. Where do you guys see yourself in about 3 to 5 years?
Wow, that's a great question. Actually, I think that the Web3 gaming industry is still too young. Actually, I also think that we should stop, myself included, the first one, stop calling it Web3 gaming industry, because I mean, gaming is it's gaming, whether it's Web2 or Web3. So I would like to think about me in about us in 3 to 5 years as participating in the gaming industry without adjectives or like Web3, because that will mean that we have reached the Web2, the broader audience, the massive adoption. And I think that for doing so, the main thing that we need is to just find the way to integrate things and integrate the power of blockchain inside traditional games, so that Web2 players or players doesn't even need to know what blockchain is in order to enjoy a game. I mean, I have like an example with what happens with Netflix, for example, and AI. I mean, when you open Netflix on your TV and you want to see your favorite series, Netflix doesn't let you know that he's using AI to recommend you series or to work. I mean, companies or top companies doesn't like to tell their users that they are using AI for the functionalities that they love the most. But in Web3 gaming, it happens the same. We are continuously repeating to the users, okay, this is Web3 gaming, this is blockchain gaming, this is something like very complex, very complicated. So they are scared away. So we need to
Yeah.
find a way to implement this, use token inside games, use wallets inside games, but in a transparent way for the end user. And that's why we are collaborating with Immutable X and Polygon, for example, because they are working very, very hard for achieving this with onboarding solutions and paying solutions, checkout solutions that definitely remove these entry barriers, so that we can consider ourselves game developers and not Web3 game developers.
That makes sense. One thing that really piqued my interest, and you mentioned this earlier in the conversation, and right here at near the end, is you kind of mentioned AI in games. I don't even know what to think about that. How does that even potentially work? Would you envision that with your company and your games?
Wow, in many different ways. Actually, we are already using AI for many functionalities inside our games, even though we are not like promoting it because it's working. We don't need to talk about it. So it helps a lot. Right now, AI helps a lot in the artist part of the games. For specifically, for example, for concept art, it's like creating new models of characters, cities, look and feel, etc. So AI just accelerate the process in a lot. You definitely need artists as a game studio, definitely,
Yeah.
but AI helps them a lot to create things faster and better. And besides that, we are using also AI right now. This is what we are working on for data analytics. AI for data analytics is awesome because it just do the work of what I am, by the way. I have a master in data analytics and data science, so I know what to say, what I say regarding this. For me, it takes like hours to analyze like the data coming from leaderboards. Imagine with AI I can do it in like half an hour or less. So time is money, money is success. So AI is definitely helping us in a lot of ways.
That makes sense.
I lo-
So about oh, go on.
No, just to complement something very fast. I love what Carlos pointed out because in the end, when you are a master at something, I think technology can help you, get the best version of yourself and gain superpowers. But it's not simply magic that anyone can plug in and voila, it works, right?
Yeah.
It's something that especially adds value when someone that knows what is doing actually leverage it. So before we were talking about how are you able to basically introduce all these time frames within the game in a mobile game so complex. Well, this is an example of something that we have been able to accomplish with the support of technology, but in the end always having in mind user experience above anything else. And before you were mentioning Netflix, well, Netflix is great at personalizing the user journey of their customers. So this is something that definitely we need to trigger and look after more and more. So not only we know what players are doing within the game and how to predict what they would like more, but also personalize their own experience within our games.
So one of the things that I noticed is about a year ago, I went to an Adobe Max conference, and you know how Sony makes movies, and then in LA they have those huge skyscrapers, and they want to put their movie poster on them. Like to me, I thought they just blew up an image and put it on there, but they actually used to spend like weeks upon weeks, if not months, to go and figure out how to make the dimensions big enough to go and stick a movie poster onto the side of a wall like that. And then once generative AI came out, they just click a few buttons, put in the dimensions, and it fills it all in. So I could definitely see how that could help build out the landscapes when you're building out a game and everything. It's about time, almost time for us to wrap up. Do you have any other final thoughts that you kind of wanted to leave with the audience?
Okay, actually, just I think that everything has been said. Just go to the App Store, to the Google Play Store, and search for Second World New Era and start playing. It's free. It's for everyone. You don't need to be a Web3 expert or anything. If you are okay, it's very good, but you don't need it. And definitely follow us on our social media. The X account is Second World underscore AO, and there you can find like the more Web3 side of things, because there is where we publish our announcements. There is where we are talking a lot about Fantasy Truck, this new mode. There is where we are going to be like telling everyone when we are releasing it, which are our plans, etc. And definitely, if you are a Web3 investor and you want to bet in some GameFi company with products, users from both worlds, and with our approach, check out not only our Twitter, because in the pinned post we have like the exchanges where we are listed, but we are also live on Mexi exchange, and the ticker is like SWAYO, SWAO. So that's it. Thank you very much for welcoming us. It's been like a pleasure of being here. And Inigo, anything to add?
Well, yes, I just second your words. I mean, Leonard, we had a really great time. Perhaps you can feel that we are a little bit tired as well. I mean, not only because of the time zones, but also for all the tremendous work we have been putting into this project, not just the last few days and weeks, but really for a long time. But really, we feel, as Carlos mentioned earlier, that this is just the beginning. We are getting started and job's not finished. So very excited to what comes next and really appreciate your invitation today.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights with us, Carlos Cameo and Inigo Cavestany, everyone of Second World Games. Make sure to give them a follow on social media. Make sure to go to the App Store to find Second World New Era. Get the game downloaded on your phone. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Grit Daily Startup Show with Leonard Kim. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for the Grit Daily Startup Show with your host, Leonard Kim. If you'd like to be featured on this podcast, feel free to reach out to me at hello@leonardkim.com. And if you would also like to learn about opportunities where you can get featured in other media outlets, like the big ones that you see in publications, I've earned over 300 media publications in my career, and it's really done wonders on where I've been able to go. And if you're looking at driving those same types of results, email me at hello@leonardkim.com, and we'll figure out how we can help work on that process for you. Thank you so much.